Ready.
Okay, today is June 12th, 2012. This is Shane Hand. I'm sitting here with my uncle Gary Hand and my dad Benny Hand, and we're interviewing my uncle Gary on family history. Uncle Gary, when were you born?
December 7th, 1940.
1940. And your parents, who are they? What are their names?
Willis Edward Hand.
And your mom?
Ruby Lavera Stone.
How do you spell Lavera?
Lavera.
Do you know when they were born?
No, you're going to have to ask your dad about that. He's older than I am, and he knows more.
Do you know
if you don't know, he doesn't knows more, ask him.
Okay. Do you know when they passed? What year they passed?
1983.
That's, Willis died in 1983?
Yeah. Well, they both did.
Both did?
Yeah, Dad died January the 15th.
How old was he?
70. Pretty sure it was 70.
Okay.
He would have died the 15th, and he would have been, his birthday was in the following month, February, and 12th, I think, I'm not sure. And I don't remember what year he was born. I'm really not positive about that day of February the 12th. I know it was sometime in February, and I think the 12th.
Okay.
And Mom died in September the 5th, actually Labor Day of the same year, 1983.
You know how old she was?
She was 72, if memory serves me correctly. She was a year or so, 2 years older than Dad.
What did your dad do for a living?
He worked for, well, originally it was Tennessee Coal Iron and Land Company, which evolved into United States Steel, as it's currently called.
What did he do for U.S. Steel? What did he do for U.S. Steel?
He was a millwright, which is a maintenance man, really.
Do you know how long he worked for him?
Ooh, goodness, I don't know when he went to work for him, but as far as I know, he was working for him when I was a small child, so probably in the 30s.
In the 30s?
When he left Shelby County and came to Jefferson County to live. It's most likely when he went to work for U.S. Steel or Tennessee Coal Iron and Land. I'm not positive.
So
I just remember when I was a youngster that he was working for TCI, as it was called.
TCI. So, was he from Shelby County?
Yeah, he was born and raised in Shelby County.
Do you have any brothers or sisters?
He had one sister, Aunt Alta.
A-L-T-A?
A-L-T-A.
Any brothers?
Yeah, there were, gosh, I'll have to stop and think. It was Edgar, Algie, Elijah,
L-Y-G-E?
well, Elijah, really. Elijah Lee.
Okay.
And Lloyd W. And I really don't know. Do you know what the W stood for, Benny Jean? Lloyd W. And Joel.
I forgot Joel.
I think Joel was the youngest, wasn't he? He or Lloyd, one were the.
Joel.
I believe it was Joel was the youngest.
What does brothers do for a living?
Ooh, Uncle Algie was a mechanic, and he worked primarily, I think, on front ends of vehicles. He was a front end specialist, and he worked for Drennan and Bessemer for many, 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 many years. And then they moved to Tampa, Florida, and that's where he and Aunt Alta both passed away in Florida when they were living there. And Uncle Ed was a carpenter for U.S. Steel. And Uncle Lloyd was a cabinet maker. And Joel was primarily a roofer. I think he spent most of his life in the roofing business. He would actually do a little work occasionally, but basically he owned the company and sold the jobs and that sort of thing. You know, he never really got too terribly big, but primarily he was a roofer.
And Aunt Alta?
She was a housewife, right? Uncle Bill worked for the city of Thorsby. Like he was.
Was that
Bill.
Elijah?
No. Uncle Bill, her husband. Aunt Alta's husband.
Okay.
He worked for the city of Thorsby. He was a truck driver, if memory serves me correctly. He died many years ago.
And what did Elijah do?
Oh, I forgot him. He was a carpenter, builder,
Okay.
cabinet maker. About anything. All those guys could do about anything they wanted to.
Okay. And your mother, Ruby Stone, was she housewife?
As far as I know, she never worked other than taking care of 5 boys, and that was a job.
Okay, so the 5 boys. There's yourself, Gary Lee,
Gary Lee, right.
L-E-E.
L-E-E.
and my dad, Benny Eugene, born May 17th, 1939.
He's 39. He kidding you, buddy. He was born in 31.
Really? 31? It's 39. All right. Okay.
The youngest is Russell.
Russell.
Yeah, Russell was born
45.
August. Gosh, yours is 17th. I don't remember the date Russell's birthday, but it was 45. August of 45.
August of 45.
I'm not sure of the date.
Okay.
And then Harold was born December 22nd, and I think it was 1937. Could have been, because he's a little older than I am. A little older than Benny. Benny's so much older than I am. Reason he's bald-headed. And then there's Alton, the oldest. He was born May 23rd. Let's see, he's exactly 10 years older than I am, and I was born for, so I guess it's 30. I think 1930. May 23rd, 1930. I think. Wouldn't swear to that.
Okay. So let's see. Now we'll start with Uncle Alton. Uncle Alton, mechanical engineer,
Mechanical engineer.
graduated from University of Alabama,
Right.
and probably that would have been 1950, maybe 52.
Somewhere in that neighborhood. I'm not sure.
That's fine. And do you know who he worked for?
Well, he spent a little time in the Navy. I don't know if he spent 1 or 2 hitches, but he was a mechanic for Uncle Sam's Navy, and then when he came out, I think he worked for U.S. Steel for a short while.
What did he do for U.S. Steel?
I'm not really sure. I guess he was a mechanic there too.
Okay.
He was a car buff in his early days. Always kept a car spit shine, spotless. And
Worked at Supply House, U.S. Steel.
yeah, okay. I
Oh, yeah.
wasn't sure. Supply House. Then he worked for Hayes Aircraft, and I think the last few years that he worked was for Zurn, Z-U-R-N, Zurn Industries, which the old Fly Ash Rust Arrestor Corporation, where he was an engineer for those guys. I think he actually finished his school when he was working for U.S. Steel. Got his degree and
Okay.
became a certified registered blue blood engineer.
And we'll work our way up the line. The next oldest would be Harold.
All right.
So what did he do?
Harold spent a little hitch in the Air Force, came out, and went to the university.
University of Alabama.
University of Alabama.
You say that like that's the only university.
It is in the state of Alabama.
Okay.
Is there another in the state of Alabama?
There may be.
Oh, there's one in Birmingham. There's a Birmingham Southern,
Birmingham Southern. Okay.
and there's one in Montevallo. There's a Montevallo College.
Right.
And I think that's all. Well, no, let's see. There's a small one up in Haleyville or somewhere. There is a Cow College down there
There is a
somewhere.
Cow
Yeah,
College.
there's a Cow College down there somewhere.
All right. So Uncle Harold was Air Force, went to the UA. Do you know what his degree was in?
In accounting.
Accounting. And what did he do after graduating?
Well, that's what he went to school for. He was working, at the time, he was working for an accounting firm. It's my understanding that back in those days they had to do an internship type thing, 2 or 3, 4 years, whatever. And then they were eligible to take the CPA exam, where today, if you complete certified,
He worked
Course.
for Weinberg, Warden, Bain.
yeah, Weinberg, Warden, Bain was the company that he worked for. And then he opened his own business in the big city of Bessemer, Alabama.
Bessemer. What was his business? What was his business he opened?
Accounting.
Accounting
Yeah,
business.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Once he became a CPA,
Okay.
he completed, his work there for Weinberg, Warden, Bain, and then he opened his own business,
Okay.
which he was doing quite well until God decided that he wanted him to preach for him. So,
When was that?
oh goodness, I would think in the early 70s. I'm not positive, but I know I was working in Continental when all that took place.
Okay, which would make Dad next. Benny Eugene.
Benny Eugene, I'll let him give you his history.
Go ahead, you're doing good.
I think he had a small stint with Uncle Sam's Navy.
Okay.
Gosh, I really don't know. He's like me. He's done work for so many people, so many different places, times, things.
Worked with U.S. Steel.
Yeah. Well, he was out there. Yeah.
Oh, God. And,
That fascinates me. Fascinates me.
so left U.S. Steel in the early 80s.
Mm.
With part of the layoffs with U.S. Steel. Yeah, okay. And then started your own business and electric company. All right, and then we have Gary Lee.
That'd be me.
Yes, sir. Were you in the military?
I was in the Air Force.
Air Force. When'd you go in?
November 59.
How long were you in with them?
One hitch. 4 years.
4 years. And they ever send you overseas?
No, that was one reason I got out, because I knew if I re-upped that's probably where I was going.
Because Vietnam was.
No, that was prior to Vietnam. I strongly suspect I may have gone north to Elmendorf Air Force Base in Alaska, so I didn't. It's a great place to visit, but I wouldn't want to live there.
So what'd you do for the Air Force?
I was a draftsman.
What's a draftsman?
Draw them pretty little pictures.
Okay.
with the help, aid, and assistance of mechanical devices. I'm not an artistic type person.
Okay. Did you use that skill when you left the Air Force?
I did for a very, very, very short while.
With who?
I worked for Hayes for a short while.
The-
Big Bad Brother Alton helped me get a job there,
Okay.
and I already had one child, and it was tough to get by on what they paid. So I think I left there and went to the Social Security Administration. I didn't last very long as a file clerk. Still wasn't making enough money to live on, and I guess went to Continental Can Company in December of either 69 or 70 and stayed there exactly 9 years, almost to the day.
A canning company?
Yeah, Continental Can. Just decorated cans, didn't do any actual canning or anything, just did the decorating.
And when did you open or start your own company?
After I failed in the real estate business, we got into the real estate business. Oldest brother Alton and his brother-in-law, Kerry Edney, and myself, we had worked part-time, and Alton had a little experience with another company, and he got Kerry and me interested in it, and we all went to work for Castleberry Realty. Ed Castleberry was a fellow that I grew up with, same age, went through high school with, and went to work for him, and things were picking up. We were beginning to sell a few houses here, there, and yonder, and I felt that I could make a living in the real estate business, so I turned in my notice at Continental Can, almost starved to death, and had to go into business doing what I'm doing now, doing construction work.
So, let's see. What kind of construction? How varied is your company?
That's basically residential. We'll build a house occasionally, but for the most part, it's just remodeling, repairs, that kind of thing. We built several back for the city of Bessemer in years past when they had a program going, but never actually pursued the building business. Always too competitive, and I was too slow.
Okay. All right, let's get back to your mom and dad briefly. Tell me about your dad. What kind of person was he? What was he like?
Oh man, won't ever be but one of them. Great guy. Very, very. He was a sensitive person. He was a generous person. That's just the greatest dad in the whole wide world. Benny will agree with that.
Let's see. Tell me a story about him growing up. Something that you remember that you tell me.
Oh, he was somewhat like your dad. He liked to horseplay.
Okay.
And he was always pulling little practical jokes, and I probably shouldn't put this on your recorder.
That's okay. I won't share it with anybody.
If he ever told you to take a bow, you best take a bow, because he would pop you and you would take a bow.
Is that where Dad learned that
That's
from?
where your dad learned that.
Okay.
Yes, sir. That's where your dad learned that. But he was just a type person that he did not meet strangers. He could walk into a grocery store or wherever, meet someone and start talking with them.
Mm-hmm.
He just, that kind of person, that kind of personality.
Let's see. Did Dad's told stories about you guys roofing houses?
Oh yeah. Oh
so
yeah.
Did he do that in part time for extra money?
He did that part time. Of course, he worked, primarily U.S. Steel, but in those days, They were either on strike or laid off a lot. Just, and he had to, having 5 boys, he had to get out and supplement his income when things were going well. And then when they weren't working, he certainly had to get out and pick up what he could pick up, just like I'm doing now, just anything he could do, from roofing the house to digging, pouring a footing to about the only thing he wouldn't do would be paint or do electrical work. He would not do either of those.
Why's that?
He just couldn't stand it, didn't like it. He didn't want to paint, and he didn't want to do electrical work. Very little plumbing, but he would do a little. Electrical work and painting, 2 things he just basically would not do.
Did he ever, or did he remember when electricity came? Was there a time when they lived where they didn't have electricity?
If so, it was before my time.
Right.
I think that'd probably be around your dad's early years.
Okay. Let's see. How did he discipline you guys as a kid?
Basically, he didn't.
He didn't?
No.
Y'all were that good?
Well, no, not really. But he left that up to our mother, and she did a superb job at it.
How so? What?
She would wear our little tails out at the drop of a hat. She didn't put up with any trash, and the only thing she put up with was Benny was her little favorite, and he picked on me all the time.
Is that true?
That's very true.
Okay.
That is very true. Watch him drop his head and look ashamed. He should. Put your head down on your chest, son. Seriously, she was strict disciplinarian. She really was. Principal, oh, absolutely, yeah. And pretty good cook. You look at me and tell I hadn't missed many meals.
What was your favorite dish you cooked?
Oh, goodness. Probably apple pie.
Apple pie?
Apple pie. She did a great apple pie. Yep. Benny and I both got fat on it.
And both your parents were Christians?
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys go to...
They were not avid churchgoers, but they were Christian-oriented, based, good people,
What denomination?
Baptist.
Baptist.
Mother was a missionary Baptist. Dad was primitive Baptist.
Okay. How did you end up Church of God? You're Church of God, right?
Well, yes and no.
Oh, yes and no. Okay.
Really, I don't belong to any church, no denomination. I was born and raised a Baptist, and wife and young'uns all Church of God. So I guess when I go, that's I go with them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm certainly not where I should be, so
Okay.
won't call myself a Baptist or a Church of God, or really.
Okay. Well, let's move back a little further down up the family tree. Do you remember your grandparents?
Very, very vaguely. I was very small.
Your grandparents on your mother's side. Let's start with
Okay, I do not remember my mother's dad at all. He died before I was born.
Do you know his name?
No,
Okay,
no, I don't.
that's okay. And your grandmother?
Yeah, I vaguely remember her. She lived with my mother's brother, and she had her own quarters in the back of the old house down there in Columbiana. Super, super, super sweet lady. I remember that about her. I was very, very small, but I still remember that. She was somewhat of a loner. She was getting on up in years at that time. And really, I really don't remember that much about any of my grandparents because I was so small.
Okay. Do you remember her name? remember either of their names? No. Okay.
No, I don't. I really
Mr.
don't.
and Miss Stone.
Hmm?
Mr. and Miss Stone.
No, it's Grandma Stone. That's what
Yeah.
we called her, Grandma Stone.
So, what about on your dad's side?
Yeah, I remember Grandpa and Grandmother. I remember them both. But there again, I was very young and don't remember that much about them.
What do you remember?
I remember we made the grandpa live hard. We kids really mistreated that old man, and I can remember when he died at his funeral, I sat out on the front porch of the steps and cried because I personally had been mean to him.
How so?
I don't know. We were just kids,
Just-
and we'd aggravate him, and he'd pick up a stick and try to whip us, and we'd run. We thought it was fun.
Man,
You know, but we didn't realize really that we were being mean. We were just, I guess that was our way of playing. But that's basically what I remember about my granddaddy. And I remember my grandmother. Her favorite term was "Dear Redeemer."
dear Redeemer.
Yep, "Dear Redeemer." She would want to put an exclamation point on something. She would say, "Dear Redeemer."
Okay. Do you remember their names?
His name was Bolden, Bolden, Hand, of course. And let's see, I forgot. We called her Nanny. Nancy, if I'm not sadly mistaken, was her given name.
Okay. And do you know what they did for a living?
It's farmed.
Farm.
Yeah,
And that would have been in Shelby County?
right. Would have been in Shelby County, just a few miles out of Columbiana, back toward Highway 31, about halfway between Columbiana and 31 Highway.
Okay. So the Stones and the Hands were close there.
Well, no. Stones were, gosh, 4 Mile, I guess, a little community outside of Columbiana. I really and truly and honestly do. I don't. If I've ever heard the story how my mom and dad met, I don't remember it. I really don't.
Okay. Let's see. Back to your mom and dad. You mentioned just a moment ago your mother had a brother. Do you know of any others?
Yeah, that
We
was
got your
Uncle.
dad's sisters and brothers.
Okay. And that was Uncle Coy, C-O-Y,
C-A-U-G-H.
C-O-U-G-H.
C-A-U-G-H.
That's how you spell Coy?
That's how they spelled it.
C-O-Y is all I ever knew, so that proves you're smarter than I am, boy. Then there's Uncle Newman. Well, doggies. Was that all the brothers, bro? Newman and Coy? And then she had some sisters,
Edna.
Edna and Etna.
Etna.
E-T-N-A, Etna.
And Edna.
No,
No, just Etna.
Just Etna.
Okay.
E-T-N-A, no Edna. And Esther. Esther wound up living in, I'm sure, passing away in Seattle, Washington. And
What took her to Seattle, Washington?
gosh, I don't know. Don't know how she wound up there, but she loved it and stayed. We had the pleasure of visiting her when I was in the military. I was stationed in Washington, so we had the pleasure of visiting her. She came over to our place when Mike, my first child, was born. She came over to visit because Mom came up to help Norlane take care of the baby. So Aunt Eck came over and spent a few nights with us. And, had a family reunion in Moses Lake, Washington. goodness. It's, Ain't Ethel? My word.
Jim Wheeler's mother.
Hmm?
Jim Wheeler's mother.
Ethel? Is Jim Wheeler?
No.
Oh, okay.
What was her name?
Ethel?
Oh, that is.
No, his ain't Ethel and Uncle Lee. Ain't Rutha?
Ain't Ruth. That is
Yeah.
Jim.
Yeah, that's Jim and Shirley's mother.
Rutha.
Rutha, yeah. Oh, goodness. I think that's it.
Okay.
I think that's it. I'm not.
What did Coy and Newman do for a living?
Uncle Coy was a butcher
Okay.
and worked for the local grocery as a butcher. And Uncle Newman was a carpenter. He'd build and remodel and whatever. And I guess the ladies, none of them, to my knowledge, ever worked. They were just, not just housewives. I don't mean to be demeaning, because raising kids is certainly a job, especially when you got a Benny in the crowd. But as far as I know, none of them ever worked.
Okay. Well, let's get back to your generation and let's look at your children. It's probably going to take us a couple minutes. Or not just your, but the brothers too. So we'll start with we'll go start with the youngest or the oldest.
Okay, Alton.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Alton's wife is named Peggy. Peggy Faith.
Is Faith the maiden name?
Faith, Peggy Faith. Her middle name and last name Edney, E-D-N-E-Y.
Okay. And how many children?
They had one child, a
Really?
beautiful young girl,
Okay. Lisa.
Alisa.
A-L.
I think it's Y-S-A, I think.
A-L-Y-S-A. Who married a military guy.
Yeah. Keith. Good gracious, Benny, what's Keith's last name? Yeah, he was a special forces officer. Came out of the military, I think, Lightbird Colonel.
Okay.
Oh, he's Fullbird.
Fullbird, okay, Fullbird.
And they had one child or two?
No, now, Lisa had one by a prior marriage.
Oh.
And then they have, good gracious, they got twins. And they got, how many kids they got, bro? I know that, 3 girls and the twins, and then Jason. That's 3, 5, 6.
Wow.
And, yeah,
Six,
I believe it's 6.
Who's the one from the prior Mason?
That's Jason.
That's Jason. Okay.
Yeah. And I think
Pinehart.
Pinehart.
Jason's still living in D.C.
Okay. He's in college now? Or did he graduate?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
We don't have the pleasure of seeing them very often.
Do you know the girls' names?
Oh, gosh, there's a Taylor. My word, that's terrible. I know there's a Taylor because we got a Taylor. I really don't.
That's
really
okay.
don't.
I can get that on Facebook.
Yeah.
So that was
That's
brother Alton, and then next is
Harold.
Harold.
named after Uncle Gary.
After you, Ben. Yeah, named after you. Ben. One of the boys, one of her twin boys named Ben.
Is it?
Benjamin.
Benjamin. Yep. Named him after you.
Are they both boys, or is one girl a girl?
Yeah, both boys, twin boys.
Okay. So Harold married.
Betty Sue Johnson.
And how many children?
3 boys.
And they are.
Ricky,
Okay.
Joey,
Joey,
Kenny.
Kenny. And they married?
Oh yeah, they're all married. Ricky's wife is Dava,
Dava, D-A.
D-A-V-A.
Okay. Joey,
Yeah, his wife is Margie,
M-A-R.
G-I-E, I think.
And Kenny.
And Kenny's is, my word, Angie. Angie is in my head as she heard me hesitate.
So what do Ricky, Joey, and Kenny do?
All right, Ricky's a pastor in the Church of God.
In the Church of God. Okay.
Joey, the middle son, worked for the credit union.
And Kenny?
Kenny worked for the Mercedes plant.
Did any of the 3 go to college?
I think Rick and Joey did, but none of them completed it. None of them got their degree.
Okay. And let's see.
Now,
After Harold, Benny Eugene.
Benny and Eugene.
Who married Linda Gale.
I didn't have any kids that lived.
Not any ugly ones, anyway.
Well, there was one, but he grew a beard. He covered it up.
Okay. So we'll say 3 boys. Gregory, Shane, Gary. Gregory married Ren. He's a pastor. I'm a student. And Derek is with Ashley and an electrician. That one was easy.
Mm-hmm.
Did I leave anything
You
out?
figured that one out by yourself, didn't you?
I did. All right. After Benny, we have
Gary.
Gary. Gary Lehan, who married my Aunt Norlene.
Noralene.
What was her maiden name?
Johnson.
Johnson. Was she related to Betty Sue Johnson?
They're sisters.
Really?
Harold and I married sisters. Yep.
Oh, tell me about that. You gotta have some good stories there, huh?
Well, they were church godders.
Church godders.
Yeah, and I really got to know Betty Sue, and basically she said, if you'll get me a date with Harold, I'll get you a date with my little sister. So that's how it all evolved.
Okay. How about her parents? What did they think of their daughters dating 2 brothers?
Well, I think they liked me, but I don't think they liked Harold too much.
Okay. What are their parents' names?
Roy Lawson and Mary Sue.
Mary Sue.
There again, they're great people, absolutely wonderful people.
Where are they from?
Montevallo, just outside of Montevallo, Moore's Crossroads. And I was teasing they liked Harold.
Are they still alive?
No.
Okay. What did Roy Lawson do?
He was worked for Shelby County.
Workshop County. And Mary Sue's a housewife?
housewife.
And how many children did
Good.
Gary and Orlean have?
Okay, got 3.
3. All
Mike,
boys?
no, got a little girl in between the boys.
Really? White girl.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's start with the boys. Mike and Chuck.
Mike and Chuck and Joy. Joy's the middle one. She was born between the 2 boys. Boy oldest, girl, boy.
Okay. And when was Mike born? What year? Just a year.
1961, December the 8th.
Wow, that's the day after you.
Right, I turned 21 the 7th, and he was born the 8th.
And this is like right with Pearl Harbor too. So
Yeah.
you were the year before, right?
I was the year before, and he was 1 day after.
Okay. And when was Chuck born?
Chuck was born June the 8th, 1966.
And Joy?
September 29th, 1964.
And Mike married.
Rita Johnson. No relation.
Okay.
No relation.
Okay. And Chuck?
Sherlyn, Sherlyn, Walls, Walls.
Mike has how many kids?
4 boys.
4 boys. And these are going to be your grandboys.
Exactly.
And they are.
Ryan, Caleb,
Caleb.
Caleb,
Okay.
and he went to the Cow College, unfortunately. But don't put it on your recorder. Don't say anything about that in your.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't want me to mention Auburn University.
No.
Okay.
What, Cow College?
Has he graduated? Or is he still there?
No, he graduated.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Corbin, Corbin, and he is. Well, he was going to the university, but he dropped out, and he's gone to work. And then the youngest is Connor, and he will be enrolling in the university. The university. The university. The one with 4 national championships.
That's all?
This year. Yeah, just one little.
Just this year?
Just this year.
Just this
yeah.
year. Okay.
Just this year. We only have 4 this year.
That's.
Would you like me to talk to you about that?
Maybe next time. Let's keep
Football. We got a national championship
You
in
did?
football.
What are
yeah.
the other 3?
Gymnastics. By golly, softball. What else?
Baseball.
No, it wasn't baseball. No, our baseball team didn't do so well. Gymnastics,
Girls softball.
girls softball, and golf.
Hmm.
Girls golf. And our boys golf team missed it by 1 stroke. We would have had 5.
What does Ryan do?
He's a pastor.
Pastor.
Yeah, youth pastor.
Where at?
And gosh, he just changed jobs. He was small Baptist church in Bessemer. He's gone down to Chilton County somewhere, I think, a rather large church there somewhere. It's I think he just changed, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know.
Did he go to school, college?
Very short while.
Very short.
He was like his granddaddy. He didn't last too long in school.
Is he married?
Yeah, he's married. Got twins, a boy and a girl.
So you got great grandchildren?
I have great grandchildren.
My goodness. What's Ryan's wife's name?
Melissa.
Melissa. And they have. You said 2 twins?
Two, yeah, it's a boy and a girl. Yeah.
What are their names?
Molly and Eli.
Molly
And
Eli.
Melissa had a child before they were married, and a beautiful little girl named Amy.
Okay. Caleb, is he married?
Yeah, he's married. His wife's name is Haley.
Any kids?
No kids. They haven't been married very long.
Okay.
They're living in Georgia.
How about Corbin?
Corbin's not married.
Where's he working?
He's going to work for Disney.
Disney?
Land. Yeah, he's
Disneyland?
he's into lighting and that sort of thing.
Okay.
And he's recently been employed by those guys.
And Connor's probably not married, getting ready
Oh
to go
no
to
no
school,
no no
so,
no!
okay.
He just graduated from high school about
Mm.
2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that is Mike's children. How about Chuck and Sherilyn?
Right, they have 2 girls and a boy.
The girls?
Casey.
Casey.
Mm-hmm.
How old is she?
She's 25, 26.
Wouldn't have asked, but I just learned you're a great granddaddy, so.
Yeah. Well,
Man, Chuck's
Ryan's just a skosh older than Casey. Not much, just
Okay.
barely. She's got 1 little girl.
Who's she married to?
Cody Gamble, Cody.
Cody Gamble. And
1 little girl, Aubrey. And spell that correctly. Aubrey.
okay. Sounds like a good kid.
Rotten.
Okay.
Her mother and her grandmother got her spoiled rotten.
And the other girl, the sister to Casey?
Is Brooke.
Brooke.
And she's not married, no kids.
How old is she?
Oh, gosh. She's a couple of years younger than Casey.
Okay.
23, 24, somewhere in there.
Does she work?
Yeah, she's got a part-time job. She graduated from Birmingham Southern, and she's going to, I don't really know if she's talking about going to North Carolina to do her graduate work.
What's her undergrad degree in?
Biology.
Oh. So she's looking at doing graduate work.
Yeah.
In biology?
And biology, yeah.
And the
As
boy.
far as I know.
Okay.
Is Brett, Brett. Not married, no kids.
And how old is he?
21 or so.
What's he do?
He works for a sporting goods store. He's manager of Alabama Outdoors in Homewood.
And we have one more, the baby of the family, right?
Russell.
Russell.
Mhm.
Russell Hand. Who married
Donna
Donna. What was her maiden name?
Brasher. I had to stop and think.
Donna Brasher.
Having one of those senior moments. I've had several of those this afternoon.
Well, you're doing good. We're at 50 minutes. See, you didn't think you knew anything. You're filling this recorder up.
Let's see. I don't know when they were married, but they've got 3 girls.
Okay.
Becky,
Beckyy. Is she married?
she is, and
Okay.
they've got 9 kids between his, hers, and theirs.
Okay. So
She was married prior, and he was married prior, and so if I'm saying this correctly, they have a total of 9 kids.
I'll look them up on Facebook.
Okay.
All right.
And then
The second girl,
Corrie, Corrie.
married
She got remarried yesterday, as a matter of fact.
yesterday.
Yeah, and I think her new husband is John. I think. I'm not sure. and she's got one son, Michael.
How old is Michael?
Oh gosh, Michael's probably preteen or early teen.
Early teens. And one more girl.
That would be Miss Corey. Not Corey, dadgummit. Bonnie. Bonnie. B-O-N-N-I-E.
She married?
She is married to Blake. B-L-A-K-E.
Okay. What's Blake do?
He worked for some manufacturing outfit, I think. I'm not sure. But they've got, how many kids they got? 3. Got 3 little girls. No, 1 little boy. 2 girls and a boy. 2 girls and a boy.
Do you know their names?
Look it up on Facebook.
I can look it up on Facebook.
I do, but man, I'm having one of those senior moments again.
That's fine. We're doing great. You want to take a quick break and make a cup
Yeah,
of
let's
coffee?
have a cup of coffee.
All right.
Picking backhoe.
We're recording. That's okay. Go ahead and talk about that. They had a backhoe cut these walls out?
Yeah. Hey, that cat, before he built that new road, he came.
I saw that. I saw
You
it
saw
working.
that? Did you see him back at little Ford Ranger? 2-wheel drive Ford Ranger. He backed that sucker down that hill all the way to the water.
Jeez.
No way, buddy. No way.
Well, he's the one that had that.
Yeah, he's done it himself. Yeah. He's a plumber, I think. Yeah, because one of the guys down the way there knows him. That guy's a electrical contractor, and he knows this guy. So they've been out on jobs together a good bit.
Well, how did they get from that house down to here?
From that house,
Yeah.
he walked right down that blank. That's the only way to do it. And he's not a young man either. He's mine and your age if he's not a little older. Go ahead.
I call him back. So, did any of the brothers? There were several that were in the military. Did any fight in a war or sent off to?
No. Alton was a mechanic for crash boats, I think he called them.
Crash boats.
Crash boats. I think it was primarily the base commander's own private vessel, that kind of thing. And he was a mechanic for the Navy with those. And then he was stationed in Pensacola. We got to go down and play on the beach a little bit while they were there. Then Harold, the next one was an engineer. An accountant. We fished together. Harold and I fished together a good little bit back through the years. We were probably spent more time together than I did with my other brothers, simply because we married sisters, and sisters are normally closer than brothers. Those sisters today, they all live in the area. There are 4 of them, and they'll get on the telephone with their conference calls, and they'll talk for an hour and a half, 2 hours every morning during the week, and back and forth during the day. And sometimes they'll have another conference call at night. But I'm glad to get along that well. I just, I'd like to use the phone occasionally, but other than that,
Uncle Alton, did he worked for NASA for a bit, didn't he?
Well, when he was at Hayes, you know, it was Hayes Aircraft, and they were involved with the space program, and he did some designs. I think he actually designed the umbilical swing arm for the spacecraft itself. So he was, despite the fact he was a hand, he's a pretty sharp trooper.
You call that an umbilical?
Swing arm, yeah, just part of the landing.
Okay. And they actually used that
Oh
design?
yeah, oh yeah.
What, do you know what rocket or?
No, I don't have any idea. That was too many years ago.
Yeah. What did he tell you about working with the space program?
Well, actually, when I worked for Hayes for just a very short while, I got to go to the Chrysler building in Huntsville and work with a bunch of engineers, and that was quite. Of course, I was not an engineer by any stretch of the imagination, but being a draftsman, I got to do some of the little mechanical type drawings and hear all the engineer stories, and it was very, very, very interesting. But of course, it's all classified, you know, and we were not privy to it. If the three of us, for instance, were working on a classified project, you'd have a page, I'd have a page, he'd have a page, and nobody knew what the other guy had. Times have changed. And I mean, back in those days, we would not even think about looking over the other guy's shoulder. You know, that was just, no, you didn't even think about it. It didn't ever cross your mind.
Do you remember, I'm going to talk about a couple different historical events that were big in the 1900s, and just talk about your reaction, what you thought, the community. For example, let's talk about the Cold War. That would have been in the 60s. Well, of course, the Cold War spread longer than the 60s, but a lot of the big events like the Cuban Missile Crisis and such would have occurred in the 60s. What do you remember about the Cold War?
Cuban crisis primarily.
Okay, tell me about that. That's a scary time?
It was for me because that's when I was in the military.
Okay.
And I was, at that particular point in time, I was on a big SAC base, which is Strategic Air Command, but we were a ADC unit just stationed on that SAC base. We were the headquarters for...
I hope he come down so Shane can see that.
No, I don't think he's coming down.
No.
We were the headquarters for the North American Air Defense Command.
Okay.
The building that I was in, the walls were probably thicker than this boat is wide. And they had a computer system that guys like you would just look at and laugh. But they were humongous. But it was state of the art at that time. Mm-hmm. And but I remember they deployed our aircraft, and what few we had, I can remember stories about those guys sitting on the runway with the engines running. You know, a lot of folks don't realize just how close we came to being in war, real war. And I guess we'll have to give JFK a little credit there, but that was a one time that I had to pull a little guard duty, and I did not like pulling guard duty.
What did you not like? Cold?
Cold, man, it was cold.
And God, he gonna walk down here with that little, is that a baby girl or?
She looks about 8 or 9 or 10.
I don't know.
So it was cold during guard duty.
Oh man, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, she just fell.
Where'd she fall? Oh, they're braver than I am.
Okay. When, you know, my generation and younger, you know, when we think of JFK, he's big. You just mentioned him and giving him a little credit. he's become such a figure of history that he's almost beyond partisanship. You know, what did people back in the what did your parents think? What did you guys think of JFK?
Well, think of JFK. We thought at that time he was a stinking Democrat. But by today's standards, I would love to have JFK. If you were to hear that man talk about our nation and the problems and the needs, you would swear that he is a full-fledged, registered, blue blood, dyed-in-the-wool Republican today. That was the kind of leadership that we had in those days.
That's no good walk talking up that baby up there.
That's not a baby, is it?
Did your
White Road comes all the way down. She can walk the road. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No, that's okay. It's okay. Did your parents talk about politics much?
No, not at all.
Is that something different today, you think? The topic? Because politics it seems like everybody talks about politics.
Yeah, you got to now. It's an integral part of your life. You can't escape it. Situation we're in is very, very dire. Very dire.
Did your parents talk about the Depression much? Did
No.
you ever hear any stories of the Depression?
No, not really. Not really. Not that I remember. I know times were tough. This is a little girl. She could have walked down that road. You gonna let her fall?
Where are they coming from?
Just right around the hill there, I guess.
Yeah, that road goes all the way up there, and goes back to your left over there. The road goes straight down, then straight back toward his boat.
What about Vietnam?
Really don't know a lot about Nam. Knew a few folks who were there. Buddy Graham on board at Ram Service Station there that we grew up with, he was in Nam. And a few other folks I've talked to through the years were in Nam, but
How about the protests back home during the Vietnam War?
I think it was pitiful, pathetic. I think so today. I think if someone goes to combat, gives of their, I just think they should be treated as heroes and not spit on and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But I got a different view, I guess, than most folks do of war.
What's your view of war?
My view of war, if you're going to war, and I don't mean we yeah-yaing and we fussing and we arguing and we yeah-yaing, I mean war. You clean them out. You do like God did. You
Total
take no
war.
prisoners. You go to war. If it takes bunker busters, use them. If you got to clean out a mosque that's where this dude has run out there and killed 6 of your guys and he runs back in the mosque because it's filled with women and kids, sure hate this, boom. It's war. It's not this garbage we're playing today. That's what I say, my view is different.
Look at that, that's a baby.
When do you think it changed?
Oh gosh, it's been a gradual change for a number of years, probably. I don't know really that America's ever had that mindset, but that's probably always been mine. And you know, we're the strongest nation in the world. I don't know how long we're going to stay that way. I mean, we're giving away, we're losing our freedoms every day. We're becoming weaker and weaker and weaker in every category that you can possibly name. And
Why do you think that is?
I think we're just becoming a nation of entitlements. Be frank and honest with you.
Okay.
It's a gimme, 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 gimme. My name's Jimmy, gimme.
Well, that brings up LBJ, Lyndon Baines Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of old President Johnson and the Great Society?
I think it's a bunch of bunk. All of his gobbledygook, and then come to find out he's got a bunch of black folks down in South Alabama that he's treating like pure dirt.
LBJ?
Yeah, his wife owned. You had never heard that story?
Go ahead and tell me.
She owned a bunch of property down there somewhere and had a bunch of blacks on it that were just in abject poverty. And then him as the president of the greatest nation in the world. I don't need to get started on politics.
Well, I mean, I'd love it, but so was this like rental property?
I really, I don't know. I know there's a lot of farmland involved.
Okay.
A lot of farmland, and I don't know if they raise cotton or corn or peas, potatoes. I really don't know.
Just like sharecropping, maybe?
Sharecropping type thing, and you know, he was the black folks' salvation, and come to find out that his darling bride has all those folks living in abject poverty, treated like pure dirt. That's like the folks in Washington. They teased us because I was from Alabama, and oh, you don't like black people, you don't like, but they treated those migrant farm workers up there worse than a black's ever been treated in Alabama.
When was this?
Back in the 60s.
Back in the 60s when you were in Washington?
Mm-hmm. I saw that with my own eyes. Those people living in cardboard houses, and I'm not talking about men, able-bodied men, young age. I'm talking about women, kids, the whole family.
They were migrant workers.
Migrant farm workers up there. They'd come and go with the crops.
Huh. Where where were they from? Do you know?
I assume Mexico. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Latino, Hispanic.
They just come up there to pick the crops, and when the growing season was over, they'd go back from whence they came.
Did you ever talk to any of them?
No.
Okay.
No. You couldn't understand them. I couldn't.
I'm going to keep moving through some talking points like this, but you mentioned, and I do, with my historical studies, I focus on race. So I'm definitely interested in the civil rights movement, and even before the civil rights movement, during the era of segregation and Jim Crow. Your thoughts on that? What you observed? I'm interested in what you've seen, not just trying to get you to say something. So, I mean, if you saw examples of mistreatment, or if you, like we were discussing earlier, I mean, they were, decent whites that were very good to.
Oh man, hey, when your dad and I were kids, grew up in the big city of Lipscomb, you could walk the street at night, any time, day or night, without a problem of any nature. If you met a black man, you didn't have to worry about it. He wasn't going to bother you. You weren't going to bother. We were not raised to hate people,
Right.
of any color. Our parents did not raise us to hate black folks. Now, we did, and occasionally still do use the N-word. It's just ingrained. But as far as hating people, no.
You said if you met a black person, so this would have been in the era
If
of
you walk in the
segregation?
streets at night,
Yeah.
I'm talking about if you just can't sleep, you got a bad headache, whatever, you're out there walking the streets. You don't dare do that today. I mean, you go to the mailbox, you better take your gun, lock your door, wherever you live now.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't have to worry about that in those days.
What changed? Was it the civil rights movement itself, or?
Just people. People change. I mean, and it's not just whites who've changed. Blacks have. To me, blacks are far more prejudiced than whites.
Okay.
From what I've seen, and I've worked for a lot of black folks, Some of them good, some of them not so good. But I really and truly and honestly think that most black people are far more prejudiced than whites.
Can you explain black prejudice against whites?
They just don't like white people, period.
How have you seen that? What do they do? What do they say?
Hey, I've had potential customers when, I do community development work for the city of Bessemer and Jefferson County, and I've had black potential customers tell me they do not want a white working on their house. And if it were a white telling the man we don't want a black working on their house, that would be stopped right there, dead in its tracks. But if it's a black saying we don't want a white, okay, no problem. And that's just one small example. Just black folks just don't like white folks.
Okay. But you're not prejudiced.
No, I hate them all alike.
Hate all black people alike?
Yeah, I hate them all alike, don't you?
Why do you hate them?
Oh, I'm playing.
Okay.
Because you're daddy, boy. No. No, you ain't gonna get to heaven hating anybody.
That's right. I talked to Joe Santor. It's been I guess about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. He talked about the busing and how things changed in Lipscomb with the civil rights movement and the boycott in Montgomery and blacks demanding their rights on buses. Did you see? And he says after that happened is when things became more dangerous. And
Yeah, I think that really was most noticeable beginning of it, really, to me. I think really the blacks have been taught from birth, hey, that white man done took your what you supposed to have. He done held you down. Now it's your turn. Get it. I really think that's their mentality. And I think that is basically the beginning of it. And when your dad and I were kids, we just didn't have that problem. Wow. You could go out of town, close your door to keep the wind and the rain out, not even lock it, and come back home, it'd be right there. Nobody bothered anything. But culture's changed with the time. Just not a good thing anymore. Black and white relationship is deteriorating. And I think our illustrious president has a lot to do with that. I think he has purposely divided our country. I think it's culture.
along the color line.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Don't you?
I'm
gonna put you on the spot. I'm gonna ask you a question. Do you not? Honestly, be honest with me.
Do I think that Barack Obama has divided our country across the color line?
Yeah.
No.
How can you not?
How do you? Why do you think he has? What has he
Because
done?
he has given the blacks any and everything that they have asked for.
Is that what? He just pulled one up about that long. Is that Shad or?
Probably, I don't know. Maybe a little old shad.
Is black anti-white racism that you were talking about a minute ago?
Yeah.
Are they justified at all in their anti-white racist thoughts, prejudice thoughts?
No more than we are now. No more than we are.
Okay.
I mean, they got a beef, but I think we got a beef.
What's the white beef?
Hey, I've gone to Jack's and had them I'd stand in line behind 5 or 6 people and get my turn, and they'd take a black out of another line in front of me.
Okay.
And if the blacks were treated that way, now I didn't see all this stuff that they're talking about happen during the time when I was a kid. I didn't see it.
Like during Jim Crow, during segregation?
Yeah, I mean, hey, I hear all this stuff, and if it were going on around me, I did not know it, didn't see it. I'm not saying that it wasn't. I'm sure there's some black folks that got mistreated, but for the most part, it was not nearly what they are trying to make you believe it was.
Did you ever see Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. when he was on TV?
If I did, I'd cut him off like I do Barack Obama.
Really?
Absolutely.
Okay. Have you ever listened to the entire I Have a Dream speech?
No, sir, and will not.
Do you know any white people who have listened to that entire?
Not to my knowledge. I haven't discussed it with them.
Okay. Did you happen to see any, during the Civil Rights Movement, did you see any protests from blacks? Did you see, like the sitting at the counter, or did you see any marches, or?
Oh, yeah, I saw some marches.
Okay. Where'd
Small
you see 'em?
ones, not,
Right.
but nothing elaborate. No. Never
Where'd you
saw
see
it.
a march at?
And they came from big city of Brighton, marched through Brighton into Lipscomb. Remember that, big bad brother?
When was that?
Oh gosh, that was probably in the late '60s, early '70s. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Mr. Avery was the police chief. You don't remember it? But I mean, we
Abrams
just
was the police
did
chief?
not have the problems that they're depicting.
What were they
They
depicting?
were not there.
What were they depicting?
Oh, as if black was, you better get out of town, don't let the sun set on your head.
Those kind of signs that you hear, like in
I mean,
Coleman.
that just, yeah. And perhaps I never saw the sign, it may be real. But they're saying, today that that's the way all whites treated all blacks, and it's just not so.
Okay. The police chief that you said in the late '60s was Abrams.
Avery,
Avery, Avery.
Mhm.
And was that of Brighton or Lipscomb?
Lipscomb.
Lipscomb. Let's see. Do you remember when the Bull Connor in Birmingham, '63, when they had the dogs and the fire hoses?
Oh yeah.
Is that big news? And
Yeah, that was big news and should have been. But I don't know. I wasn't very old at that point. And really, it's really back to my old broken record. I just don't believe that they were treated like they're saying they were treated.
okay.
I didn't see it. I did not see it. There was only one real racial thing that I have ever witnessed that I sort of backed up.
What was that?
That was Mr. Mayor, Mr. Bill Ivey. I was sitting over in front of the fire hall. We're just chit-chatting. A young black boy came up who was home on leave from the Army, and he stopped and he got him a chair and sat down there to talk to the mayor, and the mayor made him move his chair back behind him.
Bill Harvey did that?
Bill Ivey did that.
Bill Ivey.
Yeah.
O-V-E-Y?
O-L-V-E-Y.
And that's of Lipscomb?
Yeah. He made him move his chair back behind him. And now that's the closest I've seen or ever saw, me personally, seeing them mistreated. We were not taught to mistreat black, white, green, pink, or purple. Never have, never will, simply because of their race, the color of their skin.
How much interaction growing up before the actual civil rights movement? How much interaction did you have with blacks?
None.
None.
Little to none.
Little to none.
When we were little fellas there, there's two black families lived back behind us. Was it Helen?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
We
her-
played in their yard, man.
Really?
And
Yeah.
they came and played with us in our house. Just
The kids?
yeah, we ate with them. They ate with
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. But I mean, I was little bitty. And when we moved down there by the school, you remember that old black man that they called him preacher?
Yeah.
He, we saved scraps for him because he had a hog, and he'd come by there and pick up our table scraps and feed his hogs.
Super nice. Oh, man.
Yeah, good people. And there's no way on the sun we would have knowingly hurt those people.
Dad, if you don't mind me asking, I remember there was somebody down the street, I think it was from Mama's and Lipscomb, and they used to, I think they had a shop, and
Cousin Ray.
Cousin Ray. Yeah.
Cousin Ray. Can you tell me about Cousin Ray?
Gary can.
Okay.
I'll let your daddy tell you about Cousin Ray.
R-A-Y?
R-A-Y.
Tell me about Cousin Ray.
Cousin Ray was a great big old humongous rascal. I think he was born in Alabama, and his mother and daddy moved to Detroit when he was just a baby, very, very young. His dad, I don't know, I think his dad passed away, and he had married by that time and had a little boy. And he says, now I'm going to use his words.
Okay.
He says, I had my mama by the hand on her dying bed. And she got me by the hand and said she wouldn't turn me loose till I promised her that I would take my child back to Alabama and raise my child in Alabama. And he said, I promised my dying mama that. And he says, that's the dumbest thing a Yankee nigga ever did.
He called himself nigger.
He sure
He
did.
did?
Yes, sir, he did. But he was an excellent welder. And old Beavers was putting siding on his house, and he wanted to replace his front post. He had bricks up so high, and he had wooden posts 4 or 5 feet, whatever it was. Anyhow, he was going to go over to Cash and Carry and get him some wrought iron to put on there. I said, no, that's too heavy for those little old light things. He said, well, do you know anybody can make me some? I said, yeah, old Ray make you some. He said, well, you know him, you go up there with me? I said, sure, get in the truck. We went up there, and old Ray was in his shop and came back down with us. He had his pen. He'd drawn him a picture. He had his tape measured. And when Miss Beavers walked out the front door, she never said a word. Ray never said a word. He wrote his measurement down and looked up and spoke to her. Hello, how are you, ma'am? I said, Miss Beavers, I said, don't blame me. Don't blame me. I had nothing to do with it. I said, I tried to tell him you didn't want no nigger working on your house. She didn't know whether to try to crawl under a cigarette paper, go back in the house, and he looked at her and just died laughing and said, don't let this little honky get to you, ma'am. So I got all kind of white girlfriends. He was a mess, buddy. And you could see him at Penny's or wherever, and he'd scream at you across the store. But I guess he's dead now. I hadn't seen him in years. I think he's gone.
Well, you know that shop he had down there. I went in there with him one time, and he just had a bolt with a nut on it. I said, where's your lock? He nigger around here no better than fooling with me. I got Jesus. And Jesus was a big old shotgun.
Okay.
These niggas don't fool with this nigga.
He did me that way one day. He said, "Have you seen Jesus?" I said, "No, I haven't personally seen him." "Well, come here." Walks in there and shows me that gun. He said, "That's the reason these niggas don't mess with me." About 3 days later, they broke in his shop and stole his gun.
Slick Rogers, you remember him?
Yeah, I remember old Slick.
One of his daughters, Laura, used to babysit Shane and Derek. And me and Linda was going somewhere, went by Cousin Ray's place. And I just stopped, went in. I said, "Cuz, I got a little white girl out here I need you to go nigger for." He cut a slice of watermelon and went out there. And hey, that little girl scared to death. He said, "Honey, come on, eat this nigger style."
Have a seed spitting contest.
Seed spitting contest.
I don't mean to be ugly, but I'm on.
You running out of time?
Yeah,
Okay.
Friday was Chuck's birthday,
Okay.
and we're going out to eat to celebrate his birthday because old Brett
Obama?
working. No, Obama got nothing to do with my son's birthday.
Okay. Slick
He
Rogers.
don't know. He don't know what the inside of a whole house looks like.
Okay. Slick Rogers, was he a white guy or a black guy?
He white.
White guy. Oh, Gary, thank you for taking the time, and maybe here
Hey.
again, and we'll get some more stories out
Yeah,
of it.
be a little better prepared, maybe.
Oh no, you got like an hour and 40 minutes right now. But I'm gonna. You got anything else to say on tape? Before I send
Man,
this
nothing but
to
your daddy's
Obama?
ugly. You got my sympathy.
Okay. Thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and stop it.